Hello, Russ Martin, Live Right. Kamala Harris has represented her allegiance to the Fourth Reich for many years now. That's how she's obtained being the vice president. If she becomes the president of the United States, corruption and tyranny will become rampant. Extortion, racketeering from all government agencies. This includes your property taxes, your water bills, your utility bills, everything. You think that you're not affected by this? It's progressive. And the only way to stop it will start with Donald Trump. But Donald Trump is not enough. It will require the people of the United States to wake up and begin defying your local government, police, lawyers, judges, when they are obstructing justice and not obeying the Constitution of the United States. You need to publish them by beginning with the leadership of Live Right. Subscribe and share this with your friends. Thank you.
My pen, I can charge someone with a misdemeanor, the lowest level offense possible. And by virtue of that swipe of my pen, you will have to go to a courthouse and stand in line. You will have to come out of pocket and hire an attorney. You may get arrested for a few hours. You will be embarrassed in your community. You will miss time from coming onto the Google campus. All because with the swipe of my pen I've charged you with a crime, which I may choose to dismiss 2 weeks later. It's an incredible amount of power. And you want to make sure that the people who have this kind of power are taking seriously the response.
So let's talk about Kamala and the swipe of her pen and how she tried to give me 15 years at 23 years old and take me away from my 2 years. Because of the way I look, tattoos, fancy car, jewelry, they illegally searched me, find 4 Vicodin pills that the dentist prescribed me for a root canal, but I didn't have them in a pill bottle. I didn't know it's illegal to carry them just loose in your pocket. So they smile while they arrest me, and I find out they charge me with 3 felonies. Possession of a controlled substance, transportation of a controlled substance, and possession of a controlled substance to sell. So I had to go get a lawyer, spend 10 grand to represent me, and I asked him how together. Kamala and them said, no way, this guy's going to prison. Over 4 Vicodin pills. So my lawyer said, Shane, don't worry, Kamala's a joke. She doesn't know how to do her job. She's an idiot. I'll get you off the first time I talk to a lawyer. So I go to the pretrial hearing to see if there's enough evidence for them to prosecute me, and my lawyer said he dropped all charges for an illegal search warrant. So there, I think it's done. Me and my lawyer celebrate. We go and get lunch. And before I even can get home, Kamala, because she doesn't like to lose and she wants to lock up an innocent father for 15 years, refiled charges saying that my lawyer blindsided her with an illegal search warrant. So with that stroke of her pen, she just cost me more money, because now I got to pay my lawyer another $2,500 to show up in court to get these charges dropped again. So I get my day in court 2 weeks later, same verdict. But this time the judge looks at Kamala and says, if I see him in my courtroom again, it's going to be your ass and on the line, not his. Shane, I apologize, and you're free to go with all charges dropped.
You can't say that you have one rule for Facebook and you have a different rule for Twitter. They are directly speaking to millions of people without any oversight or regulation. That has to stop.
As far as I know, you are an ex-Muslim who also grew up in Iran, right?
Yes, correct. So I was born and raised in Iran until like 5 years ago. I was in Iran. So
What is the situation in Iran? What is it like?
So in Iran, well, the government is basically a dictatorship. It's called Islamic Republic. We are actually very close to that sham election that goes on every 4 years, but it's a dictatorship ruled by the supreme leader of Iran, a cleric, Khamenei, and everything is under his direct order. So every election and everything is just for a show, a theatrical move. to just gain legitimacy among people. And then mostly it's just to show it to the world that, oh, we are this legitimate government and people actually choose us every 4 years. But there is no freedom of speech. There is no human rights. Women are much more like slaves, second-class citizens. But this is not limited to women. Men are also the target of this oppression. No one can really speak out, even as much as just a post online. Recently, a writer got arrested for commenting a period under the post of the supreme leader of Iran, Khamenei, that got more likes and shares than his original post.
Take over, Eli. Just take over. Hi, everyone. The other side wants to take away your freedom of speech. They want to take away your right to bear arms. They want to. They want to take away your right to vote effectively. You've got 14 states now that don't require voter ID. California, where I used to live, is just passed a law banning voter ID for voting. I still can't believe that's real. And free speech is the bedrock of democracy. And if people don't know what's going on, if they don't know the truth, how can you make an informed vote? You must have free speech in order to have democracy. That's why it's the First Amendment. And the Second Amendment is there to ensure that we have the First Amendment.
The UK wants to extradite and jail Americans for what they post online. England, this isn't going to go the way you think it is. I got it. F*** off.
Several years ago, there was a gentleman in northern Wyoming. He'd bought a farm that had been pretty run down, and there was an irrigation ditch that ran through it that had caused a lot of erosion. He went in and he cleaned up the farm and he moved that irrigation ditch. Well, the EPA decided that that irrigation ditch was a navigable water of the United States, and they came in and sued him. They contacted him, sent him a letter, and said, you must notify us within 7 days whether you are going to comply or you're going to be subject to fines of $37,500 a day. That case went on for 6 solid years. And by the time that we went to trial in that case, he was facing penalties of almost $65 million for affecting 2.1 acres of land on his own property. Now the fines are $59,000 a day. I would argue that whenever you give an administrative agency the authority to impose fines of $59,000 a day, you've created a tyrannical government.
Tonight, for the first time since we showed you the rescue attempt of a Lake Lure couple stranded on a cliff, we now know what happened to the husband. He was left behind after the volunteer chopper pilot who saved his wife was forced to end that rescue effort under the threat of arrest by a Lake Lure fire official. Here's Queen City News Chief Investigator Jody Barr.
I was able to look him up a few minutes after I left.
And who is this?
His title online is the Assistant Chief of Lake Lure Fire and Rescue.
This is the man volunteer helicopter pilot Jordan Sidum said threatened to arrest him if he made one more trip up a Lake Lure mountain to rescue another person. Just minutes before, a couple waved Sidum down as he passed overhead. Mike and Susan Coffey were
You're just basically a hardened criminal at this point.
Pretty much.
This is a video that we've never done before. Hopefully, we'll never have to do it again either. Kind of weird. What has happened?
All right, so we've got a lot of questions of what happened to the yellow submarine. Where is it? What are we gonna do with it? So we're gonna tell you why you haven't heard about the yellow submarine lately.
It's kind of in limbo a little bit lately. So the yellow submarine is still at Lake Havasu with Merlin.
In storage.
In storage. We're gonna take it back to Bobby and Brian, don't you worry. But right after we aired our episodes of the yellow submarine, we got a visitor in the shop, right?
We sure did. It was a fish and game officer from the state of Utah.
How are ya? I'm doing all right. How are you?
Well, not too bad.
I'm with the Division of Wildlife. You're Paul, right?
I am Paul.
Awesome.
Yep.
Are you like super busy, or can I borrow you for a couple minutes?
No, go ahead.
I just got to ask you a couple of quick questions.
Yep. Oh.
I've been watching your videos all week, so
Is that good or bad?
Depends on who you are.
He showed up and said that he was investigating us for illegally transporting quagga mussels.
And you recovered a boat that obviously had quagga mussels all over it.
Yep.
Were any of them alive? I'm just gonna get okay.
No.
The video shows you spraying them off out here in your yard. Yeah, with the.
We steam cleanered it in Havasu and then wet sanded the entire boat.
Okay.
And no, they are all dead.
Okay.
Plus they froze.
Yeah.
We've been dealing with that. We tried to do this whole thing the right way. It took us 3 extra months trying to get all the permissions we could get to go get this thing.
And never in a million years did we ever think we were gonna get in trouble for what we got in trouble for.
Yeah, quagga mussels. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
He comes in and says, well, since you aired your video, my phone's been blown up.
Ringing off the hook. Oh yeah. I'm sure so many people called him.
The reason I'm here is your videos hit and my phone started ringing off the hook. The reason my phone.
Complete chaos. So we totally back the blue. Occasionally, there are those that have a badge, that have the badge primarily to bully people and to have power. Unfortunately, DWR officer that came to the shop, I feel, is like that kind of. I don't know.
He's got a pretty good reputation in the southern end of Utah as being a guy that's hard to deal with.
We need DWR officers that like regulate people that poach deer and stuff. We do need that stuff.
We just need them to have common sense and use their head instead of the power that they have. That's it.
Yep.
The one bad one gives the rest of them a bad name. So he tried to trick me a couple of times, to say that the boat was in the water when we got it.
So when did you pull the boat out of the water, off the lake?
We didn't pull it off the lake.
At any point when you're taking that boat off the water, did you think about the fact that you had mussels attached to it? You shouldn't be taking it off?
Dead.
Okay.
And I was quick to tell him that it never was in the water, that it was on dry land.
So to give you a little bit of history, in 2019, in Paiute County, there was a deer that got hit and she was pregnant. And the fawn ended up surviving and some of the townspeople kind of took it under its wing. And of course, it was kind of the town mascot, I guess, from what I understand. And it was just a nice little deer and it just roamed around the neighborhood, never caused any problem. Well, I guess he got wind of it and he decided to use his authority and he went on to the people's property and shot the deer.
Just reckless. Reckless.
That's how Cole Montague feels about the DWR conservation officer who fired a weapon near his Antimony home.
DWR is out there to protect wildlife, and he comes on the property and shoots a deer in the face.
Situation, and he was put in a different position, I guess, in the DWR office. So now,
where we get to deal with him.
Now we get to deal with him because he's the quagga. What did he call himself?
I'm the sergeant of the Division of Wildlife over quagga mussel.
Okay.
He's the quagga mussel specialist.
America. I served 12 years of my life, United States Army, active duty. And recently, I had a lady trespassing on my property. And I tried telling the lady to get off my property, and she wouldn't do it. And the end of this whole story, she ended up calling the police, lying to the police, telling the police that I threatened her life and chased her with a knife and told her I'd kill her. Lied to a judge. No way I threatened this woman's life and chased her around with a knife and tried to kill her. And they found me guilty. The woman admitted in the trial that she was trespassing on my property. And she admitted in the 911 call that she was trespassing. I didn't do anything illegal. America, you stabbed me in my back. You wanna know why 22 soldiers kill themselves every day? is because of crap like this. Now look at this.
There are bigger problems in America that we don't see. But if we don't start chipping away at them from the bottom up, Donald Trump will not be able to chip away at them from the top down.